Week 2 of early voting is underway in Virginia's high-stakes governor's race, and also up for grabs is one race that could split the ticket this November. Attorney General. Republican incumbent Jason Miyares is trailing slightly in polls behind former delegate Jay Jones. The winner will oversee criminal investigations, including defending convictions on appeal. And this person would also help protect your money by enforcing state consumer and business protection laws, and so much more. This week, 7 News is highlighting the nominees' positions on various topics that are of high interest to voters. 7 News sister station in Lynchburg sat down with the nominees, and here are their positions on Virginia's role in federal immigration enforcement.
You favor state and local cooperation with federal authorities to deport those here illegally and committing crimes. Recently, and you've seen this, I'm sure, ICE agents have targeted migrants who gathered at places like Home Depots and scooped them up. Do you approve of those types of tactics?
Well, we got to first also look how we got here. We had 8.2 million illegal crossings in the last 4 years prior to the president taking office. That is the equivalent of the population of 32 U.S. states. It was the largest human migration the United States has ever seen in 249 years of our history. And what has happened as a result is we've seen several of these, what the categories that they are primarily targeting are two categories of individuals. People that are here illegally that have committed crime, that are ended up in our prisons, and then also 1.4 million people, illegals, that have been here, have already had a immigration hearing, and they've already been in front of a judge. They have been ordered by the judge to deport, and under the Biden administration, even though they have been ordered to deport and leave the country, they did nothing. And so you have, those are two overwhelmingly the categories of what is happening, going after illegal immigrants that are committing crimes, and the 1.4 million people that have had that deportation hearing, they've had that moment in front of a judge, and they've been told you need to leave, and they haven't left. And so that's the category. Anyone that's here illegally that is using a fake Social Security number and applying to the Social Security Administration, that is at least 2 felonies, if not 3 felonies they've committed right there. And so, listen, we're a nation of laws. I'm a child of an immigrant. I'm the first child of an immigrant ever elected to this position. But my mother did it the right way. She got a green card. She came here after fleeing communist Cuba. And so that is a big difference. We are a nation that's very generous. We allow 1 million legal immigrants a year. But what Americans don't like is to feel like people are cutting in line, getting around the system, and then breaking our laws. And those are the individuals that they're trying to hold accountable.
It's interesting that you did bring up birthright citizenship, and you said you did come here. Your family came here the right way. Yeah. As a birthright citizen, how do you square that with President Trump, who wants to roll back that constitutional
Well, I want to be clear. My father was an American citizen. I was born in the United States, so there's never been any question of that. But what I would say is there are some legitimate legal questions on both sides. Ultimately, the Supreme Court's going to make that determination because there's legal scholars on both sides who have a different interpretation. I welcome that. I welcome that interpretation.
All right, that was Republican incumbent Jason Miyares. Now here is the Democratic nominee, Jay Jones.
When it comes to immigration policies, you criticize the current Trump administration, their immigration deportation policies. What would you say should be done to control or solve our country's illegal migrant situation?
Well, look, Republicans have had full control of Washington for the last 7.5 months, and they have nothing to show for themselves as it relates to getting this problem under control. In Virginia, we want to support our state and local law enforcement officials who are trying to do their jobs to execute the laws as they're supposed to be. We don't want any federal overreach, but we've also got to protect civil rights and civil liberties here in this Commonwealth as well.
What about the deportations that you're seeing right now?
Well, look, I think, again, you see Republicans in Washington have failed to address this problem. So the issue lays at their feet. We will do what we can here in Virginia to use the Office of Attorney General to support and enforce the laws on the books. But I look for Washington to solve these problems, and then we can come in and execute as we have to.
Give us a specific way that you think that states should work with federal governments, let's say ICE agents and so on, to help with this process.
Well, look, I think what I've heard from law enforcement officials across this Commonwealth is that they're looking for some clarity, right? You're getting conflicting orders, whether it be from the federal government or from the state government. And people just want to make sure that they're able to do their jobs. And look, I want to support law enforcement. I want to make sure that they have the tools and resources that they need. And we want to protect from federal overreach. One of the things that am deeply disappointed with is our Attorney General's failure to step up and push back on the excesses and overreach of what's coming out of Washington, and this is no different.
All right, joining me now is Dr. Kara Ongwele, Executive Director of Better Choices for Democracy, and she currently teaches in the Department of Politics at the University of Virginia, and political science professor Gary Nordlinger from George Washington University is in studio with me. Kara, I'll begin with you. Jones positions himself here as a pro-law enforcement, but also a protector of civil liberties candidate. Does this message resonate with moderates, or does it risk alienating progressives who want to see some stronger immigrant protections?
On this issue, it is just such a tough needle to thread because it is such a high temperature and polarizing issue. We know that law and order, especially when it comes to violent crime, tests a lot better, particularly than broad national immigration rhetoric in the Northern Virginia and Richmond suburbs, particularly. And Jones seems to be trying to, keep the focus on Virginia and framing that plays as practical. But swing voters really want somebody in this position that is going to be competent and show moderation. So that's really going to matter. But I think that voters are really going to come down on the sides of their parties on this issue.
Yeah, and the parties, obviously, very different approaches here. Gary, you heard Jason Miyares there stressing the rule of law and then contrasting legal versus illegal immigration, tying it to his family's Cuban immigrant story. Is that effective in this kind of, here's my personal narrative? Do Virginia voters resonate?
That is the best kind of narrative you can have, is when you can link it to your own personal experience. Honestly, I thought both candidates did good jobs answering those questions from their parties' respective positions.
Yeah, and again, you talk about parties. I mean, both of you would agree then a lot of them are going to subscribe to what the party is already kind of entrenched in as far as the stance goes?
Absolutely. And I think one of the things we see over and over again in the responses from the Democratic candidates especially is linking it to federal overreach. We heard that just now in the response from Mr. Jones. And that's been sort of a consistent theme. And it works in Virginia because Virginia has these off-year elections, and voters historically tend to vote against the party in the White House.
Yeah. All right. Good insights as always. Thank you to both of you. Early voting, by the way, in Virginia's November election is underway. And to learn more about where the nominees for Attorney General stand on the issues, just visit WJLA.com, or you can scan that QR code that's on your screen. Now, tomorrow at 5, our panel will break down the nominees' positions on new gun safety laws.